on this desolate road, well, I tend to forget about you.
Where'd this idea come from? Oh, wait a minute. Let me ask the best question. So how'd you get your band name? That was not a, that was an that was a read between the lines question, Bryce.
Side by side, I'm running through the hills, all alone. I'm trying.
Of Space and Time is about me leaving Alexis on Fire. I wrote that song while I was on tour, on the last American tour that Alexis on Fire did. On a day off, I was by myself. I was off somewhere else, and I wrote that song that day. And I tried to record it for A Little Hell, and I couldn't. It just was like having an arm wrestling match with it. Like, it just, every time we tried to lay it down, it wasn't feeling right. And you can listen to it, and you can, if now that I've told you that, if you go back and listen to it, you can say, like, you know, the whole elephant in the room.
There's an elephant in the back of the room, and it's standing in plain view. Everyone can see.
Not having the two bands, the two creative sides, really just allowed the songs, whatever songs were willing to come out of me to sound, to sound a little bit dramatic, to come out. And I think what it allowed me to realize is that I did make the right decision, because what I was worried about mostly, if I were to stay with Alexis, was that my mind wasn't going to be there creatively for that style of music anymore, at least not at this point, and I would have been forcing myself to try and come up with songs for that band. Whereas touring on Little Hell and knowing that, and like finishing up and having all these new songs that were in the vein of what would become the Hurry and Harm, made me realize that that's where my musical outlet is going for, at this point.
Northwest is where I'm headed, underneath the golden sky.
Two Coins is a song, it's very special to me. It's my favorite song on the record, and I wrote the melody and the chorus years ago, but I just sort of couldn't figure out how to do, I couldn't figure out where I wanted to go with the verse. And then I actually finished that song in a dressing room on tour in Milwaukee, after a particularly bad stretch of days in my life, just sort of losing my way a little bit, as you can in this business. Before you make a record, you have visions of what the songs will be and what they'll sound like, and rarely does that ever come out. Things change a lot, and obviously it's very difficult to get exactly what you're hearing at the moment in your head out. And when I listen to Two Coins, it sounds exactly like I always imagined it would sound.
I've always been dark, with light somewhere in the distance.
So the Piece of Wild Things is a poem by Wendell Berry, who's an old American poet I believe he's from Iowa. I stumbled upon this poem, and I'm not really a big poetry guy. I don't read a lot of it. I've never really been taken by a lot of it, and there was just something about it that made me excited about words. It made me excited about writing. It made me feel the way I feel when I hear a great song. It made me feel the way that I want to make people feel with my words and the songs I write. And what I gathered from this poem was that it's sort of his when everything in the world seems wrong to him, he goes to the land back to the land, and it sort of reminds him and brings him back to peace. And for me, I look at music that way, when things seem, in my life seem all over the place and disheveled, I turn to singing and playing, and it made me remember that, and it made me like hunker down and really finish up a bunch of songs. So
I've always been dark with light somewhere in
I have a new record. It's called The Hurry and the Harm, and it comes out in June. It's my 4th record as under the City and Color moniker, and I'm very excited about it, very proud of it. I think there's a very particular reason that the record was made so soon after Little Hell, and that's because it's the first time that I didn't have to go. I don't want to say I didn't have to go, because that makes it sound like it was a chore, but I didn't have an Alexis on Fire record to work on in between City and Color records, which I had been doing for about 6 years straight, back and forth. So knowing that wasn't there, every time I picked up a guitar to write, whether it be in between tours or on tour, the songs that came out were just these songs. And so when I got home, I sat there and realized I had all these new songs that I was really proud of and really wanted to go and record. So I think what the new record does is it just expands on the idea that City and Color is whatever I want it to be. It's not just me sitting in a room with an acoustic guitar, and at the same time it's not me and it's not a band. It's just whatever I'm feeling at the moment, so it's a very full record. There's lots going on. It's the most full band produced record I've ever made.
Help is on the way. In the midst of a storm, searching for shelter.
Thirst is an interesting song because I actually initially wrote it for someone else. It was the very first time I'd ever done that. I was approached, via email by some people that a certain artist, was looking for songs, or their representation was looking for songs for them. And I had never really tried to do that before. I never thought I would be able to write a song for somebody else, because my songs are pretty personal. And so I replied back and said, I can't do that. And then an hour later I replied with, I wrote a song, and I sent it off, and we never heard anything from it. So I just assumed that they didn't like it, but then as time went on, I started to really like the song, and then started to come up with the idea that it could build into this really fun groove, which is on the record. It's it's a full band kind of soulful rockin' song. And but it's funny because then a little while later I ran into the person that I was supposedly writing the song for, and I said, did you ever hear that song that I wrote for you? And she was like, what song? And I was like, Major Labels. That's what that is, She didn't even know that people were looking for songs for her, and that made me feel really good about the fact that I have creative control over what I do, and my best friends are my management, But it's so I wrote that song from like a woman's scorned point of view. That's what I was going for. Then it just turned out to be a song that I really liked, which was good for me, because it proved to me that I don't have to always be so, emotionally invested and connected to my songs, and I can still write a song that I enjoy and like. Hi, it's Dal from City and Color. You're watching Baeblemusic.